Thank you, Martin. And I will be brief, saying the following. This was a very dangerous COP. This was coming in a year of which is very bad for multilateralism. Rarely, only in no occasion this year through the United Nations process did we ever manage to agree to a mutually agreed text. So this was a drawn-out COP. We had the very real fear of backtracking from Glasgow due to the war, the energy crisis, the food crisis, and the shift of focus. So what the COP arrived at is an admittedly schizophrenic agreement, which has a very important and very historic part, which is about loss and damage, which has a great political repercussions specifically for our group. And on the second hand, I would like to talk about mitigation. So on the loss and damage, after almost 3 decades of demands by the Global South and the developing nations that the Global North should be held accountable for loss and damage due to historical and current emissions, this was achieved. There is a loss and damage facility, which was also in the mandate of the European Parliament, mostly due to our pressure. And not only that, but the door has opened because once you accept that there is a loss and damage liability, which was not the way it was finally framed, not as a legal liability, neither like climate reparation nor like compensation, but as the moral thing to do. And in fact, the reality is that there is not enough money for loss and damage, in the sense that we haven't even fulfilled the promise of 100 billion of global climate finance flowing to the South. And now the number is to the trillions. So even though now there was a facility agreed upon, what is important for us is that there is a widespread call for the deep reform of the international financial architecture, including the setup of the World Bank, the setup of the IMF. There's a widespread discussion on the Bridgetown agenda and a discussion of taxing non-state actors, specifically fossil fuel companies. And in general, this is an issue that was really beyond the mandate of the COP. This was about reforming the financial institution, and this discussion will be held in the spring meetings of the World Bank. This would also have to include a system or a discussion of debt relief, debt swap for climate, because the situation is that the global South is heavily indebted to the global North, and there is a lot of countries which are, of course, least responsible for the damage, that are burdened with unsustainable debt. They cannot service this debt, and they can certainly not service this debt before they spend the money to protect and recover their people from the damage they're using. So this is a very, very critical point in time where we have the opportunity to push for a change of the global financial system. Now, on the mitigation, however, we managed, the COP managed not to really backtrack on Glasgow, but did not manage to go anything forward. The language on 1.5, as opposed to the language well below 2 degrees, was maintained. So we avoided a train wreck, we avoided a non-solution COP, we avoided backtracking on mitigation, but the schizophrenic component here is that if you don't work on mitigation, if you do not stop fossil fuels, if you do not decrease emissions, then loss and damage will increase as a result of burning fossil fuels. So it's a mixed bag. It gives us a great political opening, but we have to work very hard on the mitigation. I think, of course, there were the general issues of the very important issues of lobby influence, with lobbyists being more than the biggest country in the COP, and also the very important issue of human rights abuse, or human rights abuses by the host, even to the tune of introducing an application for members of the COP, which was participants of COP, which of course was used to surveil them. So moving forward to COP18, I think that the part that really is our job is to push hard on mitigation and also see the openings that such architecture reform involves us. That, of course, also includes the Stability and Growth Pact, which is such an international financial agreement, and it has to be reformed in a way that takes into account the European climate law and the European pillar of social rights in our case. So, closing words, I think, we managed to avoid a train wreck, and there is this historic loss and damage agreement. And also many thanks to both Mick and Sylvia that were there, and Damien and Stavros from our staff, who did a great job and also provided all of us a very thorough review. Thank you.
Thank you, Petros.